up now for the main event, your J6 Division Chiefs. Bring it up, let's go! Real quick, before they get started, I want to give something to the true DHITS Wrangler, Mr. Flanders. His very own t-shirt.
Well, try as we might to get Mr. Flanders to put us up on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, he said, no, this is how I want to close out DHITS. So this is the way it's been all along. We'll go ahead and start. I think all of you know Mr. Flanders, Admiral Arena. How can you miss her, right? So we'll go ahead and start with Sergeant Price. Go ahead and tell people who you are and what it is you do.
Hey everyone, I'm Senior Price. Basically, I'm Mr. Flanders' Senior Enlisted Advisor, so anything related to the military staff, and then anyone at the MTFs or anywhere that has questions, I try to deflect them so that they can focus on some other things.
Great. Mr. Hines.
Hello. I'm Tom Hines, your agency authorizing official and chief information security officer, and also responsible for engineering and architecture. And you've seen enough of me this week, so I'm not going to say anything more about what I do, and I'll pass it on to Mr. John Felstead.
Thank you. So I'm John Felstead. I'm your chief engineer. I'm responsible for coming up with the roadmap for where we're going with our IT infrastructure, some of our systems, where we're going. I'm also an AODR from Mr. Hines, so I'm responsible for the MedCoy, MJAD, cloud services, quite a few others. So that's what I do.
All right, I'm Colonel Andrew Lattimore. I'm the Division Chief for Infrastructure and Operations. Still trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. It's been 2 years, and hopefully a year from now I'll figure it all out. But the big thing is just making sure that I support my branch chiefs as best I can.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nina Porter, and thank you very much. I'm the Division Chief of the Engineering Solutions Architecture and Business Analytics Division. We are filled with engineers because we obviously over-engineered that title. We focus on keeping the MedCoy backbone secure and running. We also lead DHA's Zero Trust strategy. We are working to roll out secure AI. You may have heard of a thing called Ask Sage this week. So we are working to deliver that to you as soon as possible. We also onboard systems and applications into cloud hosting environments, and we keep our mission partners like the VA and Coast Guard connected. We do all of this with the other division chiefs here up before you.
Good afternoon. I was going to be introduced. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Colonel Marcus Moss, the Chief of the Solution Delivery Division, and and we provide life cycle management for 51 software solutions, enterprise software solutions.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charles Moniz. I run the Portfolio Resource and Management Division, so by default, I am supposed to be the most hated division chief. Handling all the finances, the audits, contract execution. Yeah, that sounds good.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mark Shelton, and I think I'm probably up there close to you with the most hated division chief. I run the Risk Management Executive Division. A lot of at the heart of the RMF blues that Patrick sang about. We have the enterprise risk management, which is all of your authorizations that Mr. Hines sees and signs, accepting that risk. We work on making sure the policy gets out to you guys, and of course, we are always watching, making sure that your data is protected through the SIOP.
All right, so now that you know who the panel consists of, let's keep the questions coming. First one, I guess it's directed at Mr. Flanders, or you can defer to any of the division chiefs that you want. What is your greatest accomplishment this year?
Getting through Doge.
Good.
So I'll elaborate. So we've gotten every single thing through Doge. There's a few places where we took haircuts to capabilities, but we got through it all. If you really want to know the truth, the agency strategy was to demonstrate to Doge that we take the financial management responsibilities seriously, and so the new director and Dr. Deal conducted like their own internal review of every single contract. Dr. Deal talked about it in his plenary, but it's literally every single contract, and we're not done. I mean, I got a couple redos, so I actually have to go back in October for a few, and that resulted in some cuts too. And the idea there was, we could say to Doge, look, this is what we've already done to ourselves. And we really tightened our belts, and I think it's good. I think it's good.
All right. This one's directed at Mr. Flanders, but I think it's open to any of them. Are you all putting on a front, or do you really like each other?
Most of them. No.
I can answer that. I think, we bring so many different perspectives, all of this division chief. For me, it's an honor to obviously be here as their deputy and working for Mr. Flanders. But we bring different perspective. And yes, we have disagreement, because we are a family, correct? In any family, especially Puerto Rican one, you always have issues, correct? But I really admire the way that we can then sit down later on and address those issues. But bottom line, they're all here to support the mission, and you can see them. You can see them every single week. After Mr. Flanders' CIO staff call, we all come together, and we need to make it happen, and they do.
You'll never guess who the person who sorts out the arguments is.
Hey, and I'd just like to add, so I'm the newest one out of all these people. They've been around government for forever, and yeah, they've welcomed me with open arms. And my job is not an easy one, and I tend to tick them off on purpose sometimes just to see what we can get done. But at the end of the day, every single one of these fine men and women up here are helping support our nation's sons and daughters, right? We all have a stake in the game. So that's what we all come together for, and like Admiral Marina said, that's why we're a family, right? Our job is to take care of the downrange mission by supporting the war fighters and their families at home. So it's super important what we do, and that's why we get along as well as we do.
To be honest, the most passionate discussions are usually related to funding, or because they're all professionals and the actual technical design. Like they'll get in pretty interesting discussions about which design is better, and which is a good thing, right?
So just to add to that, we get this question every year, I believe, and I'll just have to say it depends on the day, which is in all honesty, but I think that it shows that we do get along, evidenced by how we collaborate. So for instance, with Zero Trust, we couldn't do Zero Trust without our cyber and IoD partners in engineering, and we make it happen. We also do that with cloud hosting. We need our cyber and IoD partners, so we make it work, and we actually do it with a smile. So, which is Admiral Rena, I stole that from you.
I just want to go on the record that I like everyone.
And don't believe for a second
like
that it's just the division chiefs either. I mean, there's this is just, we happen to be the division chiefs, but the rank really doesn't matter. I mean, it's people have their areas of expertise, and they are, the leader in that field. And so it's much broader than what you see on the stage here.
And I guess if I could add to that, I would say that you all out there in the audience, you don't want us to get along, because we all have our expertise and we're all passionate about it. But in the end, we battle, and then we go on and we get the mission done on your behalf to make sure you have what you need. And as you can tell from the finance perspective, I don't care about their technical analysis at all. I care about that they choose the right solution, the one that's most efficient, they get the job done, and that allows any of the rest of the money to go towards something else that's valuable for you. So,
well, and I'm going to prove that because I'm actually going to agree with Charlie here. So if we don't look at things from different perspectives, then we're not going to be looking at challenges and innovating our solutions. So we do have to bring different ideas to the table.
Well said.
So my addition to this is this. Mr. Flanders and we've been working together closely for 7, 8 years now. His leadership style is based on kindness. He answered a question at DHITS about what is the finest characteristic of leadership, and you answered one word. They gave you, the question was, get one word, and you said kindness. So I'll fill that out a little bit, is kindness and respect bolstered by accountability. That's the leadership style, and I think all of us internalize that and operate that way, and to the extent anyone would ask me for advice, how to lead, that would be my advice. So.
I would say this, is that when you look across this table, we have a lot of strong personalities. We have a lot of people who have had a lot of experience on a lot of different things, and there are going to be times where we don't get along. There are going to be times where we say things to each other that may hurt, and there'll be times that we will have differences where someone has to come in and mediate. But that's all part of being part of an organization as large as this. We are responsible for ensuring that we do the things so that the delivery of healthcare can take place. And sometimes that means we have to make tough decisions. And sometimes you may be on the losing end of one of those tough decisions. And when you do, you have to be able to take a step back and look at it from a different perspective, if at all possible. And when you do, you have to ask yourself the question, what's in the best interest of the enterprise? What is it that we're really trying to accomplish as an organization? And if you can live with that loss in that particular battle to fight another day, there's going to come a time where the things that you're responsible for are going to be center stage, and you will get all the love. And that happens in any organization, whether it's large or small. So there are times when we don't get along, but at the end of the day, it's about the enterprise. And we have to do what's in the best interest of the enterprise and put our personal feelings to the side.
I'll add one thing. I'm the new kid on the block. So as far as I know right now, I've had the warmest welcome from all the division chiefs and Admiral Arena. One thing I see from I guess a new lens is every person at this table is mission focused. We all have a lot of work to do, but the mission, it seems clearly communicated amongst all of us. And I appreciate that coming into the division.
Okay. I'm guessing this is directed at Mr. Flanders. How will the upcoming ADS restructure affect the J6, and when will we know the outcome?
I don't know. So as part of the DOGE initiative and just, growing, the agency is looking at ways to delayer, right? And so there's some pretty pretty significant things that are being discussed. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe pooling of the money manager type folks out of the dads, I'm a dad, and JADERs, up to a level higher, or maybe under the chief of staff of the agency. So there's all kinds of, everything's on the table, and I don't know the answer. But I'm definitely involved in the discussions as are several others, and you're really leading it. So that's another thing. He's a division chief. He's just not telling everybody. And I don't know if anybody else wants to comment or if that's too touchy or.
No, I think, like Mr. Flanders said, the agency is going through some restructure right now internally, and that's one of the areas that they put at the table. I can tell you, Mr. Flanders is very, very close engaged in the discussion, so we really don't have a final answer right now. Yeah.
I think reorg or change is good. The piece that we got to make sure we get right is the transparency and the communication of what the change or the reorg is, and because this stuff affects everyone, right? And the only way that I'm able to communicate, down into SDD what's going on is if I'm getting all the information from Mr. Flanders and the higher leadership in SDD. But I think change is good. But we got to manage change by effectively communicating with everybody in the organization so that everyone is aware and understand what's going on.
Anybody else? All right. This one's specifically for Sergeant Price. So Sergeant Price, you mentioned in your introduction that you assist and deflect for Mr. Flanders. What are some of the biggest challenges you have faced as an enlisted member in your role?
That's a really good question. To be honest, I think the hardest part is understanding all the intricacies of what every division does. I mean, I've been around here in this job for 3 years, and there's still stuff that I don't know that they do. Like, I generally know what all these awesome people do and their workers and coworkers do. I mean, that's easy, but the actual intricacies of like what Mr. Hines is doing or what Mr. Moniz does, it's impossible to tell. So when it comes to the challenges of like space management and personnel issues and civilian personnel issues or military personnel issues, knowing the dynamics that are internal to their division, I think is probably my biggest challenge. So that's why I talk to them about all these things.
Good. And I'm guessing
I love what he does.
What's that?
I love what he does because as General Flowers, or was it General Flowers? No, Mr. Mount said, my army of Air Force personnel are almost all NCOs and enlisted from the Air Force, and so it's fantastic. And by the way, a lot of what happens here is a direct result of that. So.
And they're all right there, so thank you so much. They're right there. Yeah.
Is it okay to call you an army of Air Force, or do I have to say like a wing of Air Force?
Yeah, and our enlisted members that are here at DHITS, that was the brainchild of Sergeant Price. So you have him to thank for their presence, registering you, and welcoming you to each of the breakout rooms. All right, I think this one is applicable to all the division chiefs as well as Mr. Flanders and Admiral Arena. It's kind of a two-part. What is the most challenging task on your plate in the coming year? And more importantly, how can folks from across the services and industry gathered here at DHITS best help you?
I'll go last.
One of the areas that is from my perspective, I don't know from Mr. Flanders, but from my perspective is to prioritize our portfolio. And, obviously going through what we call it the night court, that is our DOGE internal review, is to prioritize that portfolio, but against of the functional community requirements and against the director priorities and the agency and DOD priorities. That's a very challenging right now. We have a great team, so we are working that right now, but I think that's one of the, from my perspective, I'm within the resource-constrained environment that we are. And I think what's the second part? It was the second part question?
Yeah, and how can the services or industry gathered here help you with that problem?
You already do, tell you the truth. In the forum that Mr. Flanders implemented, the CIO working group, we received so much feedback from you right there on, that we can utilize right away. So I think that you're already doing it. And from the industry perspective, having the conversation that we have this week here, for me, I'm taking a lot of notes from you. We have an incredible conversation in one of the sessions that I participated that I'm taking your recommendations back to the team. So I think this forum can help too. Anyone else?
So you've heard this week a lot about AI. Adoption of AI is tricky business, and we all have a role in making sure that we protect data. And with healthcare, we have PHI and we have HIPAA compliance requirements. So we're working very hard to make sure we find ways to protect data, but a lot of it is going to come from the user. Like, the user is going to have to think about what they're putting out there, especially if you're using features like web crawl. You have to be very careful with how you're using the technology, and then also if you're adopting new tools that have AI feature sets, which just about every single one will, if they don't already. Please do work with us and bring us those solutions before you have those features enabled, because we may end up having to block it. We want to make sure that we can make this technology available to you, and in order to do that, allow us the chance to vet it. And we can do that if you submit, tools that you're interested in adopting to our J6 portal, and we'll help vet those products for you.
So one of the things that Mr. Flanders mentioned to me during my kind of sort of in brief with him, the first conversation that I had when I first got to the organization. The number one thing at the time was decommissioning these legacy systems. And going into FY26, I talked Alta CDR, Alta Web Print, supposed to decommission in April of this year. We extended it 6 months to the end of this fiscal year, and now we're running into an additional extension into FY26. And Mr. Flanders has to spend money there right now that he doesn't have to keep the Alta CDR running. So the big thing for SDD in the next couple of months is getting the sports, the HRS accepted by the functionals so that we can eventually decommission the Alta Web Print, the Alta CDR.
So for me, and some people are going to be surprised what I'm about to say, but I think our biggest challenge going forward is going to be Mr. Hines retiring. He's got his hands in everything, honestly, and all those that heard him on the first day speak, his historical knowledge of the network, his presence, and the respect he gets at the DoD CIO's office, that's going to be big shoes to fill. And how that's going to be done, and how those pieces are going to be put together. He does everything. And if people know, I'm not sucking up to this guy. But I honestly feel that's one of our biggest challenges. Yeah, we're going to get through it. Will it be as good? Maybe not, but we'll make it through there. But him leaving is going to leave quite a hole when he goes.
Thank you, John. And I was going to say, that's a trick question for me because I won't be here next year. And I was going to say something else, but I won't. I'll pass it.
Yeah. So biggest challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges, I've got two. One of the biggest challenges is going to be doing more with less. Everyone was around most of us were around for the executive actions and the turmoil that was caused in the enterprise with the DRP and Vera. The IT workforce, particularly the cybersecurity workforce, has been reduced. Right? So the challenges we're trying to work with, we're trying to change our processes and implement automated tools so that we can do more with less. We're trying to make it easier for the MTFs and the programs to do what it is they need to do in order for us to show that the data is protected, that precious data that was talked about in the plenary sessions this week. I think the second big challenge is survive whatever blast it is from the blowing up of the RMF at the DoD CIO's office. We don't know what that's going to look like. We're going to work with them to try to shape that. I think we'll come out okay, but the unknown is going to be a challenge. And as far as how can industry and the services help, for the services, I think you are. You guys are doing the lion's share of the work, right? And we appreciate that, and we're going to do our best to try to make that easier for you to do and more understood. For the industry, I think the tools and the knowledge that you are bringing to the table, I've seen several of you approach this week with ideas and products and tools that are going to help make this easier. We're willing to look at those and try to work those into a strategy smartly and choose the best of breed so that we can bring a fiscally responsible solution to the enterprise to raise our awareness of risk and to lower that residual risk that we're dealing with.
Thanks, and I guess I'll start with the industry. I'd like to say that I think you're already doing it as well. You keenly pay attention to our requirements. You're there, you respond, and we couldn't do this without you. So a big thank you. From the services standpoint, talking to the CIOs and from the position in which I work, I would say standardization of work. The best way I can help you is for you to create those standardized processes to identify your requirements, put them in entropy as we work your EATS call orders and try to get all your touch labor IT support. The best way I can help you is to make sure that I know what I'm looking at in the system is accurate so I can get you what you need. From an overall financial standpoint, I think we're really close to taking care of Colonel Moss and his AWP need for the year. It's a little tricky with the financial situation that we're all in, but we work through it, and we're going to continue, like we all continue to say, work together and make sure we have success. Thank you.
Okay, for infrastructure and operations, so we've got a number of things that we're going to be working on over the next year. In the immediate thing, Windows 11 24 H2. Windows 11 24 H2. That is the big thing on our radar right now that the services and OLBs can help us with. So be very mindful of timelines. Don't wait until something's about to go wrong. If you need help, if you need assistance, please, please, please reach out as soon as possible so that we can get you the help that you need so we can meet the timeline of getting Windows 11 24H2 deployed within the time frame. Zero Trust and ICAM, we haven't really talked much about that as a big thing on our radar within IOD. So we need to make sure that we are looking at what that's going to mean not only for us but for the enterprise as a whole, because it's going to fundamentally change a lot of things that we do. And I don't think we know the magnitude at this point right now of what that's going to entail once we get into the nitty-gritty of what needs to be done. End-user devices, making sure that we have the end-user devices that people need as a lot of these applications are being brought to the table. We hear things about AI and other things that need to be part of the enterprise. We need to make sure that we have the infrastructure available to be able to support that. And so we're going to have to make sure we work on that as well. Guest wireless is something that has taken off during my time here, thanks to Ms. Kuzmak and her team. That is something that we need to continue to build upon and make sure that it's stable and ready to support the enterprise in any way, shape, form, or possible. Global Service Center continues to evolve. We have a new chat function that we want to make sure that people are aware of that will allow for people to get the assistance that they need and get the engagement that they need from the GSC so that when you do run into some challenges and you ask questions about how things operate, that new function, new capability that's available for the GSC is there to support you. So again, of all the divisions that we have up here, we support everybody, and we cannot help the enterprise without you. That means the services and vendors and everybody that supports us, because if the infrastructure is not stable, if it's not secure, if it doesn't have the right pathways and the ability to be able to move data from one place to the other, we're in a world of hurt. So for us, we want to continue to work on ensuring that the infrastructure is as solid and secure as it possibly can be. so that we can continue to take advantage of the great tools that are being done by the other divisions within the J6.
So, agree with everything that's there. I'll just say, process is great, but the people save your butt, right? And so it's all about the people. I lost 63 people to DRP, had 9 GS-15s retire in the last 12 months, colonels too. And with the reorg and other things, yeah, it's a big deal. And to get, it takes 20 years to grow these kind of people, right? They just don't come from nowhere. And so that's a really big deal. For the military departments, please continue to support us with military manpower. It gets harder and harder because it's tough all around, right? The readiness mission. And so, the uniform folks are in demand like they never have been before that I've seen. Other things personnel related. This time last year, I didn't have an admiral. And what happens when people get promoted like that to the flag officer length? Well, they go on to bigger and better things. And so I worry that Admiral Arena may get stolen to go be a PEO. There's talk of that. It's great for her. It's great for the organization, but it's going to make me cry. Colonel Lattimore is leaving. Tom is leaving. Colonel Lattimore is retiring. And then, the contractors. I mean, we've got some contractors who are national treasures, right? And, they retire too. And I'm getting ahead of my closing remarks here a little bit. But I'll hold off for that. For industry, there's a lot going on, and there's a significant amount of technical debt on the system side, and not just Colonel Moss's portfolio, but Colonel Lattimore's too. So where we put the precious resources is where we think it's going to have the biggest impact. So Azure Virtual Desktop is going to get some love. The MDM program for mobile phones is going to get some love. And the SDD side, I don't know. We're waiting to see what the 26 money filters out to us. We are definitely going to support some upgrades at the Armed Forces Medical Examiner's Office. I'd like to move the spectacle system along, ODOS, if we get money for that. CCQuas is definitely in need of modernization, but I don't know if that's going to get funded. Joint Trauma System is going to get some love. They're going to modernize right now. It's a fantastic system. Software-wise, it's relatively simple, but manpower-wise, we have this team of clinicians that have to look into other systems and then manually swivel chair and key the data in, and that modernization is going to automate that, so that's good. And those are the big ones. Shout out to Josh Samarippa, who's got a big piece of that. Patrick Leitner, who you just saw sing. Kelly Gotzi, by the way, is the division, the deputy. We call him Coos. He's the deputy division chief. So, great stuff.
All right. So since you've already mentioned that Mr. Hines and Colonel Lattimore have impending retirements, for these two gentlemen, what do you personally want to see done or accomplished before you separate, leave, or retire from J6 and DHA? We'll start with Mr. Hines.
And that's because I'm going first, I'm sure. Yeah. Yes. I think you have another year, maybe. So. Somewhere. Okay. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of time, obviously, so my aspirations of what I want to see done are fairly limited because I have to be rational about it. But I do want to express a couple things I'm still very much working on and remain very passionate about. Some of you have heard me speak about many of these things during this conference and in the sessions. But the thing, and I was actually asked a question not so much about sort of my aspirations as I leave, but more so about perhaps what I'm most proud about and what I want to see continue. So the biggest thing that's happened since I returned from my last retirement was we have fundamentally changed the way, and to some extent my new division chief, Mark Shelton, expressed it, we fundamentally have changed the way we're handling assessment and authorization across the enterprise. In fact, we now basically simply refer to that as enterprise risk management. Many of you know we've changed the names of everything that used to be CSD under RME. And that name change was, to some extent, to close the door on the past and open the door on a new set of processes. And some of you heard me say today that all of you are my customers, and everyone in my organization perceives you as our customers. The old way we did things from a cybersecurity perspective is you were perceived as the enemy. In fact, it's embedded in policy and DoD instruction, that perception. And my objective was to change that, and I think we've done that. But most importantly, we fundamentally are beginning to do the most amazing thing, recognized now by DoD CIO and the DoD CISO, as we are closely coupling enterprise risk management, as traditionally what you think of as RMF, A&A, with defensive cyber operations. And that is, under my organization and under now Mark's organization, the SIOC. And so now we have clear lines of communication. We're integrating our data in a fundamental way so that when we understand the risk posture of a system needs attention, we're immediately working then to close that gap. And while that's occurring, we have enhanced monitoring going on of that system to make sure that nothing bad happens to that system or the data. Because of that accomplishment, we're now recognized by DoD CIO as the single most effective cybersecurity program in the Department of Defense. I said in the entire Department of Defense. That I was told to my face in front of the entire staff at the Pentagon. And that is because we've turned that corner and we're moving that way. And so obviously what I want to see is that to continue, making that progress. And truth be told, and I said this in a session earlier, Blow Up RMF is actually realigning that process more in accordance with the NIST risk management framework, which we've already been doing for 2 years, right? And so, and in fact, the organization most cited in that reform of RMF is the DHA. So we are leaders in this space. And as I briefed you Tuesday morning, we are leaders in enterprise infrastructure. We are leaders in the integration of tools. We are leaders in zero trust. We are leaders across the full spectrum of IT operations. And obviously, in my wake, I want to see all of that continue. And again, thank you to Pat Flanders for the amazing support that I've gotten such that these things could happen. So, and thank you to everyone out there as well.
One other thing, I got to mention the name to somebody who hasn't, their name hasn't been said yet, and that's Megan Morales. Yeah. But Megan, bright engineer, and she's really spearheading the zero trust actual legwork, and helping with the ICAM up until it's like stupid hard, and she's doing a great job.
We need to talk about how to help her.
Before we get to Colonel Lattimore, I just got to make this comment. Mr. Hines has been around forever. It's hard to imagine our life without him. I did overhear some people talking out in the hall referring to Mr. Hines as the DHA Gandalf. So, Colonel Lattimore, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. That's quite all right. So, what would I like to see? Well, when I first got into this job 2 years ago, and just trying to understand what's the best way to use my experience and expertise within this new role, I was not necessarily lost, but I saw some things that we could be doing a little bit better, and saw some areas that we had some opportunities to excel. And I would say that continuing to collaborate in a way that people recognizes the importance of infrastructure within the enterprise. I don't think that it was actually lost as much as I thought that it was taken for granted that it would always be there. And people didn't realize how much work goes into ensuring that the infrastructure that we have is built in a way and sustained and maintained in a way so that everything else that we do as a J6 in terms of providing technology support to the enterprise can continue to go forward. And so I want to see us continue to grow in that area. We've made some great strides. I remember having my first meeting with Ms. Kuzmak about guest wireless, and people were talking about how guest wireless is not where it needs to be. We should go commercial and so forth and so on. But I will tell you, our guest wireless is one of the best I've seen. And we did what we needed to do to ensure that that infrastructure is solid, stable, fast, and available. And we've actually done that. So I want to continue to see that go. Mr. Leitner came into me and talked about the difference between Citrix versus going to a different model, and out of that discussion, Azure Virtual Desktop was born. And for those who were fortunate enough to be able to sit through his presentation and talk and hear him talk about how AVD is now being built out, that platform is amazing. And if you ever get the opportunity to be part of that, I think you're going to find it to be amazing. I use it a lot, and I'm very, 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 very happy and very satisfied with AVD, and I want to see that continue to grow and continue to get built out, not just on the business side, but hopefully within the next year or two on the clinical side as well, because I think there's a lot of utility that can be gleaned from moving into the AVD environment. I want to continue to see the GSE grow. The GSE has grown enormously with some of the capabilities that they're being able to offer. I want to see the Microsoft suite of applications continue to be used to its full potential. There's some projects now that are being talked about for Teams calling that could be used to enhance our ability to have communication available for our MTFs. And as that project continues to be built out, I think you're going to find some great utility in that and some great capability in that that we have already paid for that we're just not taking advantage of in our current environment. So I want to continue to see that built out as well. And then I also want to make sure that as we get knee-deep into Zero Trust and ICAM, that capability and that mandate from the DoD continues to evolve. As Mr. Flanders mentioned, there's been a lot of work that's gone into it so far, and I'm sure that Ms. Porter and Mr. Felstad will actually agree that we've turned the corner, at least in the interim stages. But that's going to take a lot of work. It's going to be a very heavy lift, but again, it's going to fundamentally change the way how people interact with applications in our current environment. So be ready for it. I think the team has done a lot of discovery. They found a lot of things out as they started going through their 7 pillars, but I think that there's a lot more to discover as we continue to go along. So as that continues to get built out, everybody's going to be affected. Everybody on the network is going to be affected. So just be patient, be supportive, give good positive feedback, and let us know when things are not going according to what we've published as going to be the solution, so that way we can address it as quickly as possible. Professionally, this has been a great last assignment. It has gotten me back into my first passion, which is information technology. I'm going to date myself here a little bit. I remember taking my first computer class in 1979 when I was in high school. My very first computer class. And I've been in love with technology ever since. So some people are saying I wasn't even born, and yeah, that's probably true. And for those that may be wondering, yes, when I retire next year, I will have 44 years of active military service with no break. No reserve time, no guard time, no break, 44 straight years from 1982 until 2026. So I'm looking forward to Social Security next year. Don't knock it, you may not be there.
100%, the 100% rate, that's what you're getting.
Yeah, sir, I am all for it. I'm going to take mine at 62 because in 3 years it may not be available. So.
So to add some cherries and chopped peanuts and whipped cream to that, I'll throw some names. Kevin Panett, Troy Ibarra, Sarah Beth Kuzmak, Kelly Turner, the circuit team. I mean, Colonel Lattimore really does have an empire, and because it's infrastructure, they don't get the love, only when there's like a major incident, a problem. It's always the problems, right? Because it's just, you just want it to work. And if you recall a couple years ago, we had it's on the back of my coins. It says, "Make IT boring again." It was Tom that coined that. And he kind of has. And the reward for that is nobody knows you're there, right?
That's
everything works.
We like being the silent assassins. I mean, we do what we need to do, and as long as everybody is happy, we're happy. Thank you.
As functionals that depend on you all, what education and training do you think we should take to be better informed customers in light of your deep cuts?
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. As a functional that depends on you all, what education and training do you think we should take to be better informed customers in light of your deep cuts?
So I think that you need to develop your roadmap. And I always said that because even with the cuts and all of that, you understand your requirement better than us, correct? From the functional perspective. So we have a portfolio of resources, incredible. And actually, I have an example right here for you. But we have a ton of resources that you can explore when you develop your own roadmap of what training. We have resources even with all of the cuts that we receive. Not only that, if you attended Dr. Cavan briefing or session this afternoon, he posted a ton of resources regarding AI training, free training that we can take. We actually are taking that information to our CIOs. So resources are out there. It's just that you need to develop your roadmap on what resources you need to support that functional requirement. If that makes sense? Anyone else wanted to add?
Maybe the only thing to add to that is for those of you who didn't attend Ms. Morales' briefing, in there's training for Zero Trust. And I recommend you take that. That'll help you out a lot and understand what's going on and what we're doing, to better understand what we're doing, what we're implementing. So I would add that Zero Trust training.
That's a good point. That's very good. And with all the cuts and stuff, there's been nothing reckless proposed, not yet anyways. It's you just have to go and defend it, and it's going to affect. We're stuck with some technical debt that we hate, right? And we want to fix, and so I don't know that you can really educate yourself for something that we have. It's just going to stay the way it is. But there's new things coming. To his point, I mean, Zero Trust, JOMIS, the new JOMIS products. I mean, there's a learning curve there. If you heard Dr. Caban talk, Genesis has a massive amount of data in it, but to be able to use it, you got to take the time to learn how to use it. There's a lot to it. And he kind of went through all the different ways that happened. So I guess that's. Anybody else?
I would say that as it comes out, pay particular attention to the instructions and guidance associated with data labeling. That's going to be difficult when it comes out.
The only thing I would add is during the CIO work group, Ms. Christine Peluso, she briefs all the training opportunities that are available. I highly recommend taking the opportunity to attend one of those sessions. One of them does also include Zero Trust. So,
good point, Nina. All right, we'll open it up to questions from the audience other than through the app.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mr. Hines.
Yeah, well, the only other thing I was going to add, and this is not directly related to training, but keying off functionals, meaning people in the field with needs and requirements. For those of you on the CI work group often hear me talk about, well, every week you hear me talk about DLP. And I talk about people using unauthorized sites, capabilities, and services. And I have said, I say that every time I do that, I do it in a fairly stern way. There's obvious reason why I do that. But I also have said that we're not looking to punish anyone unless it's clearly, someone is being malicious or acting as an insider threat. What I see as I look at all that data, and I'm principally the person who studies the thousands of things on that dashboard, is I see people with needs in the field that are not being fulfilled, and so they're looking for capabilities outside those offered by the enterprise. So back to other points made, well, become familiar with what's actually available in the enterprise. But the other part there is, if in fact you really don't believe it is, bubble that up through leadership, get a requirement up to us, right? But don't hide. Okay, don't hide, right? Make that visible, because again, what I see through all that data is people with unfulfilled needs to do their jobs. When I see public sites used for referral management, that tells me we may have a problem with our referral management system. When I see some AI usages, well, obviously we don't have an authorized AI capability, we're addressing that. But the plethora of things I see that I consider people just trying to do their jobs is huge. And I've spoken to Admiral Farrell and Regina Julian about this. They're going to start looking at those dashboards so they can see indicators of need in the field that are not being fulfilled that may be highly indicative of gaps or the need for additional training for our workforce so that they can be directed to the appropriate tools and then maybe even understand that maybe we think that's the right answer and it turns out it's not. So I didn't add that one to things I'm passionate about, but I want to continue to do, but that would be another one. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Woods.
That's quite all right. All right, any questions from the audience? Anybody want to sidle up to one of the mics? Okay, we've got a taker.
You always have a taker. I'm your biggest fan. I'm not in J6, but thank you for always inviting me in to be part of your family, like a cousin. But this is my question for you. When I started out in healthcare, it was pen, paper, and pagers. I could not imagine healthcare today. On TV, we had Star Trek and Bones with his little tricorder, right? Now we have providers with point-of-care ultrasound. Someone envisioned it. So my question to all of you, in your division, what unimaginable innovation in your field have you pondered and hope to see in the future?
So within reason, having an AI capability, so I'm a developer, right? So we all have our forte, cyber and risk management and engineering. And my background, my strong point is software development. And I'm pretty proud of what we've done with our DevSecOps pipeline and all of the workloads that we've put through it. The tools we've accredited. We tried to use tools that weren't proprietary. And I think we pulled that off. But I wanted an AI capability so that the developers could be like what's going on in commercial industry, right? In a year, AI is going to be baked into everything. So you're just going to get it. But I wanted us to be able to develop with that capability as well. And the Ask Sage capability that we're working real hard to accredit right now, what's slick about that is it's model agnostic, right? So we have to, if you were just one model, just the Google model with just Google tools, just the Azure model with just that. Well, what this lets you do is develop, and then there's a drop-down box, right? And you can say, I want GPT. And you run it against that, and you get an answer. And then you say, well, I wonder what it would do with Claude. So you change it, and you get a different answer, all on the same screen. And, the intent is to accredit all the ones that are worthy, right? The ones that actually are secure. And I think that's pretty mind-blowing. And I think we put a lot of thought into being able to do it that way. I had a neurosurgeon come up to me today from one of the MTFs, and he asked me about Ask Sage, and he said, "Are you worried about, the ethics of the model and all that kind of stuff?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh my, well, why?" And I'm like, "Because you can change it, right? You can compare different ones, right? So if you think it's wrong, check another one, check another one, check another one. There's no way you're going to be able to control it. This is my personal opinion. I do not speak for the department on that, but I think it's true. Others?
For me, it's automation. I mean, how many of you out there want your RMF process to be just done like that? We got some takers up here. That, 2875s, just even your regular business processes, and I think we can accomplish that with AI, and we're going to work towards that. So if it's generating meeting notes even, just regular everyday business process, I want to see that automation be implemented, and we're going to try to make that happen.
And of course, you've got the stuff that you heard on stage all week, right? The ambient dictation kinds of things. That, like Terry Pryor's sitting on this giant repository of all the radiology images that I can't tell you, she gets, every week somebody calls and wants all her pictures, right, to go run AI on it and all of those things. I mean, there's no shortage, right? That's the thing, you can't buy everything and do everything. Anybody else?
So for me, one of the things I think we need to do in the future, in relation to Doors IH and deployment and occupational exposures, there is this program out there, our product that we manage here in SDD called the Veterinary Services Information Management System. And that is a system that's specifically used by the veterinary professionals that go out and do the food protection and food safety mission. And nobody has told me no, that there's not any deployment data in that system. And I've been asking for some time now. But I believe the evolution of Doors IH, when we start talking about improving it, we should look to build some type of veterinary services food protection module in Doors IH, so that information is also available for the individual longitudinal exposure record, so that service member will have access to that food safety, food protection mission that you may have been exposed to in deployed settings.
Charlie?
Unimaginable innovation. I guess I'd like to start with, recently, as Mr. Flanders said, that we were very successful with Doge. And why were we? Obviously, we all know that is Mr. Flanders, and it is Extropy, and it is the data, right? The data and the level of data and this level of specificity we were able to share was eye-opening to Doge for what we do and the size that we are. And I would like to see that I wouldn't say it's unimaginable. I think it's very imaginable, and I'm hoping it's within the next 6 months that we can pull together all the disparate financial systems that are out there that I can pull from FMIS, MP2BAT, and Extropy, and consolidate data in such a manner that I can provide something real-time that's actionable to really help out. We're doing something similar with I guess, what do we call it, the APT, acquisition tool. We thought this up over a weekend, and then we built it over another weekend. And it outlines the 72, 73 steps that are involved in an acquisition phase, right? Whether it's the acquisition side or whether it's the contracting side. And it lists every single step and what you have to do, and it's real time. And we manage it for over 350 contracts that we have. And it needs to be taken to the next level. It needs to be automated to provide and help all these great folks here get their things done. So those are the things that stir in my mind and that I would like to bring to fruition that I think help out the enterprise.
And you'll know it's really good, Charlie, if next year the DHITS Wranglers make a song about it.
So I would say that the first thing that I think about is use case. What is the appropriate use case for whatever something is being introduced? There's a lot of stuff out there right now, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming if you think about all of the different capabilities that exist in today's environment and all the capabilities that haven't actually been discovered, but will be discovered over the next several years. So I always go back to something a little bit more simple, and I always think about, okay, that's great, but what's the use case for it? Because that use case is going to drive a requirement. And once you drive a requirement, then you'll be able to know whether or not what you currently have meets the bill or it doesn't. And if you don't take the time out to actually think about it from that standpoint, then you could actually go out and acquire something that you already have the capability to do. And we don't have the luxury in a resource-constrained environment to invest in things that we may or may not need. So when I think about all the things that are available, I always go back to what's the appropriate use case. What is it that is going to bring to the healthcare environment that we need to invest in that specific capability? Or do we already have something that's inherent into our environment that we just haven't taken advantage of? There is a lot of computing capability on people's desktop right now. We probably harness about 5 to 7% of the capability that we currently have. It's not because we did anything wrong, it's just that we're just not aware. So if we go through the process of having use case discussions, we may discover that something already exists. So I would say that as a lot of these new technologies, concepts, ideas are being introduced, I always go back to my fundamental question about how does this relate to healthcare? How does it relate to a patient being seen in the facility and the support staff that it needs to be available to support that? And where do we see the greatest utility of this particular capability within our healthcare environment? And if we can't answer those questions, then I would question, why do we need to invest our time in it?
Well,
I have one more.
So, well,
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to take a turn.
Yep, you go ahead.
So to answer the question of what from the RME division, what have we pondered? I think it's going to be a little bit of what Nina said earlier and what Mr. Flanders said, AI and automation. I would like to see the RMF process become something that you guys, as we develop, don't have to worry about. I would like to see AI be ingrained in the environments that we develop in. The AI pay attention to how we answer the requirements that Colonel Lattimore was talking about, and build out that set of artifacts if necessary, and build out the strategy of how that system needs protected as it's built. And then when we put it in production, the system, that automated system helps us protect it. It watches what is out there in the environment, it watches what's in the wild, and it lets us know, based on our cyber terrain and the active threats, what we're at risk for and how we need to address it. But that's what we were looking to see.
The other thing I was thinking of, if we're talking futuristic, is if we can get a hologram of Gandalf here that we can consult at a moment's notice.
Somebody's getting a hat at retirement.
All right, that's it for the division chief panel.